Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. We are back at it. Fall camp is here. We are wasting no time. Jump into the chat, hit that like button. It's 8 p.m. Let's get after it. I know y'all are expecting me to be late, but not today. We getting after it. We getting after it. Hopefully everybody can hear me loud and clear out there. Hook 'em. Fall camp is here. Let's get going. Quick shout out to our sponsor, busr.com/fanatic, the official sports book, the official betting partner, the official sponsor of Fanatic Perspective. I'm excited. Official betting partner of Fanatic Perspective. Hit up BUSR today. I put some money down on some Heisman bets. Tran, I know, was doing some conference championship bets on BUSR. We were having some conversations about that. So hit up BUSR. But, I'm telling y'all right now, one of the funnest things about the college football season, while we all have hope, is those future bets that we can put in on, who's going to win the conference or who's going to make the playoffs or who's going to win the Heisman Trophy. So check that out. Great customer service, great partner, great sponsor. We re-upped with them officially for this season. So very, very excited about that. Welcome to the chat. What's going on? I know it's been a minute. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. But I have some notes here on some things I'm going to touch on. I think I'm just going to be solo today. But as we get closer to the season, there's a lot of stuff brewing. I've been working on stuff, some more long form stuff. I know you guys have seen some of my tweets about some of the quarterback stuff. I've been learning how to edit, so I've been making some highlight videos and things of that sort. Just really trying to evolve the direction of this channel. Sometimes we got to slow down to speed up. So don't worry. That's why I'm doing the live here. I felt no time like the present. First day of fall camp as we head into year 2 under Steve Sarkisian, and just wanted to connect with everybody. But please rest assured, we're gonna have some really cool guests on the channel. A lot of things in store, collaborations. We're gonna be doing some stuff with Texas Football Talk. Everybody out there that you guys support. My buddy John over at Locked On Longhorns. If y'all didn't see my Texas fall camp preview with John on his channel, go check that out. I think I'll put the link in there. So really, really dope. Good to be back. As for today, I know CB has been saying we talking about practice. We talking about practice. Austin. So I did see Steve Sarkisian's press conference just now. There was a 15-minute clip that got uploaded around 7 p.m., just kind of recapping today. Not a whole lot of news today, unless you want to read between the lines in terms of the depth chart, and we'll get into some of that stuff. But more so, the emphasis on certain words stands out to me. I'm hearing Steve talk a lot about teaching. I'm hearing Steve talking a lot about studying. And one of the things, and this is kind of in parallel with my preparation for my Cowboys football content, which will also be coming back. But football is a ever evolving game. It is, we all know there are certain givens that all successful teams must have, right? You want to be physical, you want to be fast to the ball, you want to have good communication, you want to have good discipline. There's certain things that are just inherent no matter what you're running, what you're doing, all of that. But in terms of how this game is evolving, I work in tech. We have to constantly keep up education-wise with the shift of technology, or else you get left behind instantly. Football may not move at that same breakneck speed, but it's up there. And so when I'm hearing Steve Sarkisian talking about the week he went and spent with Sean McVay of the Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams, Pete Kwiatkowski spending time with Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn, somebody who it's funny he mentioned Dan Quinn. We know his history and his past there. Lane, thank you for the super chat. Let me go ahead and hook him for Kuwait. Or what do you think has the most potential? Well, I'm gonna get to that in a second because we might go over some breakout players. But Kuwait, man, salute. Are you over there in private industry or are you serving? If you're serving, thank you for your service. Really appreciate y'all. I know we have some people that tune in to watch us and hang out with us in the chat to get Longhorn updates from overseas. So really appreciate y'all. But Dan Quinn, I wanted to get back to that. The previous relationship that Steve Sarkisian had with Dan Quinn, he was the offensive coordinator for him for the Atlanta Falcons after Kyle Shanahan went to take over for the San Francisco 49ers. And we know that, he was actually trying to approach Dan Quinn to be a defensive coordinator at Texas, which I was all in for big time. And he goes to my other football team, the Dallas Cowboys, and under Mike McCarthy's staff. Wouldn't be surprised if Dan Quinn finishes the season as the Cowboys head coach, but that's neither here nor there. But the point is, Dan Quinn has been innovative with in recent time of being at the cutting edge of leveraging to this point here edge guys that are hybrid defenders. So a couple things. Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys playing all over the place. We have a player who we're trying to figure out how to maximize his gifts in a DeMarvion Overshown. What better person to ask some of some tips, some tricks, things you can do with a player like that to be a hybrid level defender or freelance more than going and consulting with somebody like Dan Quinn. They utilize, and Rob Babers did a fantastic job on Longhorn Blitz when they were covering the Texas defense. Please go listen to that episode. Rod Babers did a fantastic job of talking about the shift to three safety looks in the sport. And Steve Sarkisian was asked about this at Big 12 Media Day, so I'm re-emphasizing some of this. But the Cowboys were one of the lone teams in the NFL playing three safeties because of Jaron Kearse and the versatility he brings. One look he's in nickel, another look he's playing 20 yards off, another look he's rushing the passer, right? And so the more you can do, Wisconsin is another team. Shout out to my buddy Jay Bass over on Twitter. Wisconsin was out there. There was some practice footage recently that he posted where they have edge guys dropping off and doing all this elaborate stuff. But it's being on the cutting edge of what is happening in football and not getting left behind, because trends happen and trends matter. And if you can catch a wave with a trend, that's why Nick Saban is the GOAT. Belichick is the GOAT. These guys adapt. They learn. They're never, too high and mighty not to go and learn from somebody else on what they're doing. Belichick has a kid on their team, Kyle Duggar. They're going to be playing a lot of three deep safety this year. Please believe it. They're playing Buffalo and Miami. Both those teams have a lot of speed. They're going to be playing a lot of three safety because those coaches took the time to learn and figure out how to counter what so many of these offenses are doing today. I'm encouraged that we at least have two coaches that are willing to go and sit at the feet of others to try to develop and learn some of those things. So for me, the emphasis on teaching, studying, learning is very key because we want to hit the ground running when the season starts a month from now, right? And being able to ramp so many young guys that are going to be playing in the trenches. So, it's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. All right. Let's see here. Is my camera messed up? You said, why is your camera like that? Is my camera messed up? Are y'all having issues with my camera? I feel like I look fine. I feel like I see myself. All right. I'm going to go back up to address some things. Lane, thank you for your super chat. I really appreciate that. Marco doesn't agree with me. All right. Yeah, I mean, we have to improve. I've said that before. Stopping the run is paramount for me. For me personally, from a pride perspective defensively, I can't stand watching my team get gashed by the run. So I think that's why they'll have to experiment with some of their fronts, what they do with certain guys, certain looks, just to at least take that away, especially knowing what they're going to have to manufacture in terms of pass rush. Because to answer the super chat question, I think that's a tough ask. I mean, it depends on what how we use Overshown and what we learn from him. I've been touting a guy like a Baron Sorrell heavy. Um, I would like to see some interior guys be able to hunt and have some success from the interior. Nobody says they can't get sacks, but we got to have better than we did last year with 2 sacks. And as our leader, right, at a school like Texas. I mean, really at any program. You're going to be terrible if you can't have multiple guys able to get to the quarterback and cause disruption. So, well, I mean, we'll talk more about that. But for me, the run issue, the run fits, all of those things were problematic. I mean, uh, I've had this conversation with Kieran a bunch, and Kieran is probably even more concerned than I am in terms of how PK's scheme is really built to stop certain types of running teams or just running teams in general. Now, I do think we are starting to see a shift in the Big 12 to a lot of pass. Um, but this is a league of smart coaches that will adapt and know what they got away with last year against us, quite frankly. Offense got to help out there too. John did a video about time of possession, which I think is something really to take a look at. Um, we do play a lot of, we are trying to score quick and not just score quick, but chunk plays and things of that sort. So it is relative with time of possession, but closing games, that's where TOP matters. Maintaining possession, things like 4 minute drill, very, very important. Yeah, Rob B and TFT, those are the homies. They did a show together, fantastic. I'll hit on depth chart stuff. I see some depth chart stuff here in the comments. If you're in here in the chat, make sure you hit that like button. I appreciate y'all. Um, Richard, I see what you're saying, but San Francisco ran war. It's big safety dime. I'm talking about running it. So the Cowboys, and Rod B was the one that said this. The Cowboys ran their dime, big, whatever you want to call it, that three safety look. They ran it over 40% of their snaps overall for the season. I understand what you're saying, and shout out to I think it was Brother Tart that dropped that pick that could have sent y'all to the Super Bowl, but that's neither here nor there. I ain't gonna talk too much. Y'all beat us. Um, but keep in mind, San Francisco also coaching ties. Shanahan, Sark, Dan Quinn. So there's some similarities there as well. Will I be at the first game? Yes, I will, Jess. So you can ask me some Texas basketball questions there too. Let's talk about Kelvin Banks. I see this one here, and I saw Sark got I think it was Brian Davis. I think it was Brian Davis who asked the question about do we have to start Kelvin Banks or whatever the question was. But I am really, really impressed with everything I've heard about Kelvin Banks. He looks fantastic. Not big from a standpoint of, oh my God, he's overweight, but like that perfect type of, just looks like a Hulk. Looks like somebody who already really has that NFL type size, NFL type build, exactly what Kyle Flood is looking for. And I am excited about the mentality that he seems to have and what we're hearing from his teammates. Now, I was talking to some friends today. I was talking to Hudson today, and Hudson made a good point to me. He was just like, "We got to see when the pads come on. That's what I'm waiting." And that's a big thing, right? And today, again, a lot of teaching. They said, everybody kind of got the same stuff. Now we do know with the spring, they do have idea of groups in mind in terms of who's with the ones, twos, threes, and fours. There are things you can read into that, and we'll talk about Alfred Collins as well in a second. But I am I can't wait till we get to padded practices and get to some of these scrimmages where the coaches will really be able to put these guys in there and see exactly, how they're matching up against each other, especially against some of our first team, like the Ophir Gofus and the Sorrells, and even a guy like a Justice Finkley who's expected to contribute early. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Appreciate you, Fitz. Uh, let's see. They move Watts to safety. Was that the case? I didn't see a note on that. Did they move Watts to safety? I thought it was. I could be wrong. Let me check my notes. I thought Ryan Watts was playing boundary corner. Now I think now they meant I don't think they'll experiment. I mean, as we saw in the spring, Watts was playing boundary corner. I think Jaron Thompson and A Cook were playing safety today. All right, let's see here. If Patterson is going to be our DC this year, yeah, I mean that means things went bad. That means things went really really bad. So look, and this is something else I want to touch on. I've seen a lot of policing on just social media in general. People are upset about the misses we've had in recruiting. And I didn't want to get to recruiting this early, but I might as well bring this up now because it just it's on my heart and I want to address it. Obviously Vasic commits to OU and some other targets we've had out there. Anthony Hill commits to A&M. I get all of the we want to be positive and we want to support the team, blah blah blah. Listen, it is fair to be critical and be concerned about missing on big ass targets. Shelby right now, is probably a lean to USC. So like missing on certain targets, and it is fair to have a concern, especially when we're talking about edge recruiting. That is totally, totally fair game to be critical of the staff. I am not saying we should fire PK. I'm not saying Jeff Choate needs to lose his job because there are things that I can also say that Jeff Choate I've liked in terms of recruiting, right? Samaje Burrell, Leona Leifau, Sark today saying the emergence of Jalen Ford and how they've touted Jalen Ford. That's also development. So recruiting is a big piece of their job, but that's one part of their job. There are positives I can also say about some of the things I'm seeing behind the scenes and what they're doing. But I don't like people being policing and saying, oh, we shouldn't be negative or things like that. Like, no, it's a concern and it should be said. We shouldn't be pumping sunshine and roses all the time necessarily. And also, that's not mutually exclusive from the fact that I can still be really excited about the guys we do have. Yes, I am excited about the people that came in the 2022 class, that loaded, class that we had, and it was a really good room. But the coaches, this staff allocated a lot of time and a lot of resources at those top targets, and those particular targets were misses. That does not mean the entire offseason was a miss. I, for the most part, am thrilled with recruiting, especially considering their record last year. But it is okay to say, hey, us missing on Anthony Hill, top defensive player in the state of Texas, us missing on a legacy in Bassick who's from Austin is a concern. Both of those things can exist. So we gotta put some of this stuff in context. I'm gonna just leave it at that. What's good, Peter? What's good? Um, I need you to be in shape, brother. You promised me. Peter's a high school football player. Uh, you promised me 15 tackles in your opener. You told me you're going to get 15 tackles. So I need you to be in shape, brother. I'm gonna hold you accountable to that, Peter. Let's see. Let's see. Why is at 21? Oh, Keaton Crawford. To me, I'm not worried. I'm not until I see notes from scrimmages and padded practices. We can get more into to little things like that. Now, I am concerned when I hear Alfred Collins um, running with the threes. That concerns me. Um, but if Keaton Crawford's with the twos and they're mixing in Jaron Thompson, that's interesting. Here's the other thing too with some of these position battles, and this is also one I want to get to, even with the quarterback situation between, Hudson Card taking the snaps of the ones, at least from what the media saw, and Quinn Ewers working with the twos. And shout out to Malik Murphy making it to the first practice. Shout out to Troy O'Mary practicing today. Those are big wins for those kids. How hard they've worked, their recovery, their rehab. Also, kudos to our rehab program for getting those guys back in full practice. And so Troy just being out there is freaking dope. Malik being out there and the smile. I don't know if anybody saw the smile in Steve's presser when he mentioned Malik's name and some of the stuff he already saw from him. But I think as a coach, those are the type of kids that you just, as a football guy, you see his tools, you see his energy. He's just excited to coach that guy every day. AJ Milwee is just excited to coach Malik every day. So I want to give a quick shout out to the guys who have been battling injuries, and it's been really, really tough on them being able just to practice, even on the mental, right? So seeing those guys, hearing them out there for the first practice today is a win. But yeah, I mean, if so, what I'm saying though, in terms of the position groups, I want to get to this point as well. It took them longer last year because they really didn't know these kids that well. They should be able to make decisions for most position groups quicker because they have relationships and they've now played a year with a lot of these guys, or even some of the younger ones. And they should also be able to understand, hey, we can't just, we got to get humming and develop a pecking order here so we can be ready for the season to start. So that goes from quarterback down. I mean, with a lot of different aspects. But with the coaching staff having the continuity that they have outside of, and the thing too is, if you think about it, the two new coaches we have in Brendan Marion and Tashard Choice, their rooms are kind of set. We know Bijan Robinson is our one. We know Roshan is going to be a captain and our two and does all these things for us. Like their pecking order in their rooms are actually pretty set. I said on John's podcast, they're going to roll out with Worthy, Nair, and Whittington in the slot. Like that's how they're rolling. We know Jai Hall's going to get mixed in there. We know, Amiri, if he's healthy, all these other guys are going to get mixed in there. So their rooms are set. It's more so, the quarterback situation, the edge situation, the safety situation. What did those rooms look like? At least, though, those coaches having either recruited those guys or have a relationship with the previous players that were there, they'll be able to figure that out and mix them in a little bit better. So I do think we should get clarity sooner with the position battles. That's my hope. I will be concerned if certain positions are not settled and we're heading into game week and there's still a lot of fluctuation, and it's not because we have three people in the room playing lights out. It's because so and so had a good practice today, and then the other guy was terrible, and then they flip flop and they're inconsistent. That those are the type of things that should worry anybody reading any of the practice reports. Rob, great point. Great point. Second half, 3 and outs. I know I'm a little behind on the chat, so I'll speed it up a little bit, but that definitely plays into TOP. Those are the things I'm talking about in terms of 4-minute drill offense. And it's not always 4-minute drill offense at the end of the fourth quarter where it's a one possession game and you're trying to hold the ball and in victory formation without the other team getting the ball back. It's not always that scenario. It can be the scenario like we faced in the Cotton Bowl last year where we're up by a lot and we need to have an 8-minute drive right now to just cool things off and get points on the board. That's where TOP can be huge, right? And or if the defense is really really struggling, um, then we're gonna try to have to drop 70 on everybody every game and just go truly truly all out, all gas no brakes. All right, let's see where we're at. Y'all don't want to storm the field. I'm not gonna get to the storm the field stuff yet. I'm not gonna get to storm the field stuff yet. Um, I want to get back up because there's a lot of good stuff in here. Make sure y'all hit that like button. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. And like I said, this is a community forum. We learn as much from each other. Those of you who may not always feel comfortable speaking in spaces or talking in a bunch of screaming people all the time, at least in this forum, you can submit your thoughts, share them with everybody, and have them showcased here on the screen. Good high level football talk. Yep. Rob, wasn't this time last year Banks still committed to Oregon at this time? Last year, or had he already decommitted by then? I think he was still an Oregon commit by then. It's a long way to go. We're not going to flip everybody. And we also have to put some respect in terms of recruiting on what we're up against. I don't know what type of head coach Brett Venables is going to be. This is just me speaking honestly right now, but I do know he and his name escapes me, but their defensive line coach, they came from Clemson. They've been some of the best defensive line recruiters in the country. We know what A&M is doing over there. We are not, and we're going after the same targets. So I'm upset that we lost a kid, but I'm not upset to the point where I'm like, I want to fire people. I'm upset that we didn't get the kid. And some of it is scheme. Some of it is scheme. There are real questions about the edge position in PK's defense. There valid questions. Valid questions. I think Ian Boyd put out an article either yesterday or today on Inside Texas about it, about some of the concerns. They're valid concerns versus what Brett Venables has done the last 20 years with defensive line prospects when he's into the league. It's valid questions. Now, at the end of the day, your job as a recruiter is to overcome the objections and close the deal. So I can only give you that so much, but that's what we're up against. All right. A lot of questions in here. Why do you think we have not seen the same success recruiting defense as we have? Let me see if I can mess around my screen. I feel like my face is. I guess not. Okay. Why do you think we have not seen the same success recruiting defense as we have for offense? So should Sark focus the same amount of time on both sides of the ball to help land? No, I mean, it's the credibility with the offense. I mean, this is Sark. These kids saw what he did at Bama and the amount of guys he sent to the league. Not just Sark, but Kyle Flood. You have two volume recruiters on offense, and Brennan Marion and Tashard Choice, and they all have skin on the wall, recent skins on the wall. Not to say that guys on the defensive side haven't sent people to the league and don't have success. We know what Bo Davis has done in the past. We know what Pete Kwiatkowski's been able to do in the past. But the defense was putrid, was so bad last year. And the thing is, we haven't been able to showcase anybody defensively from a standpoint of like, oh, there's that guy, or that's a 10 sack guy, or that's a guy who has 150 tackles and is just killing it. So I really feel as though when we get to the point of being able to showcase people the way Sarkisian has already shown to showcase people at Texas, even with limited personnel, um, that does resonate with kids. That's a everybody's recruitment is different as well, but and that goes to the next thing that Rob has here: on field progress at those positions. The best way to sell the staff, absolutely, right? Best way to do it is prove them wrong. Especially like if we're not going to be great against the run, and let's say we go from 108 to we're a top 70 defense, but we're more disruptive. We're getting interceptions. We're forcing fumbles. We're creating negative plays, big negative plays. I mean, we had moments last year where we were sound in terms of early in the games getting people off the field. I did feel as though early in the game, if we go back and rewatch all the games, early in the year we felt like okay, we were able to get some people off the field. But as the games went on, no disruption, we get tired. Quite frankly, poor conditioning for a lot of guys, and it is what it is. So we have to get to a point where if we're not going to be one of these, metric like Georgia, where they're averaging, 2.5 yards per run attempt and 4.6 yards per pass, like just these wild numbers, we're going to have to create disruption, create turnovers, and be one of those teams that's opportunistic, that's able to, you know, I hate the term bend don't break, but really force people into chaos even in the red zone. Make sure y'all hit that like button in here. I appreciate everybody joining. I'm just rapping with y'all in the comments. Let me make sure I check my notes so I don't miss anything here. I touched on the emergence of Jalen Ford and what Sark touched on today, and what really a lot of the coaches have been hitting on all offseason. That linebacker play, and I want to see what type of communicator Jalen Ford is as well, because you know it's one thing to diagnose, be able to play fast. You know what you're seeing, you know what you're doing, you understand your assignment. Now, my safeties, my linebackers, how can I transfer information instantly to my teammates so we're all reading from the same sheet of music, helping out some younger guys that may not be able to have their eyes, but hey, we can get in there and fly. In some of the spaces we have, because we're having some Alabama friends that are good content creators, and they've talked about the same thing with their defense in terms of communication and ramping young guys and people at kind of different places of their understanding of what they want to do schematically. Yeah, Isaac, they got to produce this year to get the benefit of the doubt. They got to produce this year. And that, you mentioned, I think you mentioned transfer portal as well, right? We go back to the edge thing. That even goes back to O'Shawn Mathis, right? Where we felt really good about pursuing him and getting his services to help us in the room. So, people, a big part of that. I mean, I know Nebraska was bad record wise last year, but they had a good defense. They were able to sell that, and we didn't have much to sell. Yeah. I think we're doing a better job. I hear you. I hear you. I see it too. But I think we are doing a better job collectively of being rational with certain things. I haven't seen the same type of. I always see crap. Let's be real. But I don't think. I think many of us as fans are. We know what we need to see, and we know rationally what uptick we need to see in order to help with the recruiting battles. I think we all want to have the coaches stay on board so we have real continuity for our kids. I think we all want that. I know there's some people already pushing GP, and want to get messy. Those are also typically the people that are messy in their personal relationships, but that's neither here nor there. But I know many of us, the majority of the fan base, I'll say, wants this stuff to work and want to see the progression, right? What's the number of the number that Sark throws out there? I think it's like 50 something, freshmen and sophomores that are on the roster right now, 85 guys, right? So that's that's a big deal in terms of getting younger guys to play well early and get them validated so it helps grow this entire program. I've been saying this. I don't think I've said this on this channel, so I'm going to say it now. I'm in because I see later on here somebody brought up Tom Herman. Texas, we've been getting to year 3 with these coaches, and we've been doing things out of desperation. And what I mean by that is it gets into year 3, and we're having conversations of, is this person the right guy? Or is he on the hot seat? Is this their last year? In the case of Charlie Strong, he was gone after year 3. In the case of Tom Herman, he was gone the following season. We need to get to the point where we're having the opposite conversation collectively. That's when we know we're turning the ship around. Is when we start having conversations about extending coaches. We need to be having extension conversations because I look at the good schools and people are like, oh, now granted Kirby Smart, he just won a national championship, but he just signed an extension. We hear, the good schools, those coaches are talking, those fan bases are talking about, can we keep our coach here so that the NFL doesn't come get him? That's the conversation I want to have at Texas. I'm old enough to remember when coaches used to get poached from Mac Brown's staff in the 2000s. Some of y'all aren't old enough to remember those days, but I'm old enough to remember when, man, how many people were after Will Muschamp before he went to Florida, and we named him coach in waiting. We gave him raise after raise, and eventually it was like, man, I want to be a head coach, and he went and seized that opportunity. But that's what it used to be. We used to have conversations about trying to keep people from being poached. Now we're having conversations of every 3 years. Is he the right guy? Blah, blah, blah. We got to get out of that business, in my opinion. What's up, Sam G? What's good? Jess said we score 80 a game. We ain't worried about defense. I hear you, brother. Yeah, I was disappointed to hear that from my guy Alfred. But at the same token, it is time. Rent is due with and Alfred's in year 3. We got to have the best guys on the field. Y'all know how much I love the brother, and it's one practice, so this isn't any type of overreaction or anything like that. He could, on the next practice, Saturday night or whenever the next practice is, be running with the ones and twos again. Like, I'm not reading too deep, but I am a little. I wish I had heard his name, mentioned with some of the other guys like the Ojimos and Murphys and whatnot. But they're not waiting on people, which they shouldn't. Savion Red returning punts. I saw somebody else mention Javier Arenas, which is a nice little Bama throwback in there, which is dope. No, that's really cool for him. He's a guy who, I feel like people have been throwing around the Debo Samuel comps too loosely. We got to chill out with that. I mean, same type of, like, I understand what y'all are saying in terms of skill set of that big hybrid running back receiver type, even some of the stuff that Amon-Ra St. Brown does on the Detroit Lions, or what's the other brother I'm thinking of? They started doing it a little bit in Carolina with DJ Moore as well, who's like 215. But we got to be careful with just throwing out some of these terms. We get a little crazy with it. But it's exciting. Yeah, JR said he's looking like Javier Arenas. Sark said Gilbo's coming back tomorrow. He did say that. He said he had a personal issue and he's coming back tomorrow. Did you guys hear or see the transcript or hear the clip of Jeff Banks talking about Jatavian Sanders? That was one of the coolest quotes I've seen about a player, when he said, not only is he leading, but he does a great job in his position group of telling other guys what he's about to do and kind of going through his technique so that they understand the why. That's really good stuff. And Jatavian's a really sharp kid, and we know he's a baller. It was only for me with Jatavian. I know there was some haters out there, and he still got to prove it on the field, right? We still got to see it under the bright lights in real football. But for me, with a player like that, it's only a question of when, not if, right? You guys see what I'm saying? It's a question of when. And so for Jatavian, just hearing some of those quotes from your position coach when they say something like that about you in terms of your leadership, that's a big deal to me. I don't think these aren't the type of dudes that just throw words around for fluff. They can be wrong about certain things in terms of evals and whatnot, but in terms of highlighting a player leading in that manner and using specific examples, that's impressive to me. All right, let's talk about this. I see the question here. I'm surprised we're not getting more quarterback stuff, but let's dive in, especially since that was on the thumbnail. Here's where I'm at with this. You want to play the best guy, and players are going to know all of those things. However, it's going to be a tough sell to the fan base to see Hudson Card as your opening day starter 2 years in a row. Because this is not we're just talking about the whole situation. In my opinion, Hudson Card had an opportunity. Now he wasn't ready, he wasn't fully developed, whatever. But he had an opportunity, multiple opportunities to win the job last year. Now, I'm sure he's ahead still in terms of experience, understanding checks and calls, understanding certain nuances within Sark's offense. But for me, and Rob Babers talks about things like force multipliers all the time. One of the biggest elements of Sark's offense is the ability to hit the shot plays, and that was a weakness for Hudson. And that is what Quinn Ewers naturally, inherently brings to the table, which we saw on display right away when we finally got to see them in person. That cannot be ignored, especially when we're going to show up trying to run the football with a Heisman candidate in Bijan Robinson, who, in my opinion, is the best running back in all of college football this year. And right now is RB1 if you're looking at draft boards for the 2023 NFL draft. That's just my opinion. So I'm looking at who can hit the shots and play action and hit the deep crossers and really maximize the speed that we have in the receiver room. To me, that person is Quinn Ewers. Now, I'm ready to go with Quinn and grow because I believe that's our present and our future. That's from my limited view. I'm not there with them every day. Only AJ Milwee and Steve Sarkisian know that. But if you start Hudson Card and you have to pull him again, they will lose people. And I hate saying that, but it's that we know how we are. We know this. We know this, especially the hype and everything. That if they do that, we know where things could potentially go to. Hudson Card is improving, as I see there in the comment, and he's developing. That is phenomenal. I rather have him as my guy, as insurance, if you will, off the bench. Now, if it's night and day clear, then maybe, that to me then is more on Quinn not seizing the opportunity and being prepared, considering his talent level. That would be a concern because I can't give him the excuse as if he just came from high school because he was in a collegiate quarterback room last year that was highly competitive at Ohio State. But if we use Ohio State as an example, CJ Stroud, I don't think threw a pass. I think he had a couple rushing attempts. I don't think he actually threw a pass his first year at Ohio State, was a redshirt freshman when he took over. And one of the things I noticed, though, at least over there, was they really gave CJ Stroud room to grow and make his mistakes early. The coaching staff. Now, the fans were ready to sit his ass after Minnesota. And they were definitely ready to sit his ass after Oregon. But the staff had patience. And also, they developed Kyle McCord because when Stroud couldn't play, I don't know what game it was. I think it was like Akron or somebody random. Kyle McCord was able to step in and still put up 50 plus points for Ohio State. And then CJ Stroud comes back. They get fully into conference play, and now he's a Heisman candidate because the staff allowed him to grow. And he was playing with the best receiver group. As my boy 40 says all the time, he had infinity stones in the room. You got a five-star all-world running back in Travion Henderson. You got a great offensive line up in front of you. He still had to grow into that and understand how to lead those guys, understand how to distribute those things. I want to give Quinn that opportunity if he can at least show me he's even with Hudson Card. Like, let's grow. That's where I'm at. But I don't know. I don't know. It's really, really, really tough. It's really tough. Let's see here. I see some good comments, so I'm just gonna get right to it. $20 super chat. Thank you for the donation. Let's talk about it. In my opinion, if Card was night and day better than Quinn, then he'd be named the starter. Night and day would be obvious in the summer. Yeah, and we have to remember they the coaches this year with some of the changes in the rules, they got to spend a little bit of time with the kids on the field. You know, Jeff Banks actually talked about that a lot in terms of special teams. But that is something we have to I have to factor in. Viewers' arm talent, arm slot accuracy is just too sharp to ignore. There will be bumps, but their arm talent has a decent gap if we're being honest. Also, the similarities of what Quinn Ewers was running in high school. A lot of RPO, good screen game, deep shots off play action. It's what we do. Yeah, and you talk about this a lot yourself, Dustin, and that's why I appreciate you. Is that's where the mental aspect comes into play for a lot of these players. It's not always just physical. A lot of these guys work really hard on their bodies, their nutrition, and some of them are in tremendous shape, even conditioning wise already. But it's that mental switch, and really with guys, especially in the trenches, people say it all the time. It's that dog mentality, flat out dog mentality. And the other thing too, quarterback is that's why it's in my opinion the most important position in sports. But when you look at how they can galvanize a team, even if they're not playing all world, guys respond to certain people. It's the reason why Kirby Smart left Stetson Bennett in there because he knew that Georgia players would respond to him, even though he's Stetson Bennett and he's going to do him and he's small and he's gutsy, but the kids play for him. They like I just wonder with with Hudson Card, you go that route again. I didn't see the Texas players respond for him. Even the way that there seemed to be a little bit more of a juice with Casey Thompson until things really just across the entire team psyche wise fell apart. But early in the season, you felt there was a juice, there was an energy, there was a lift, there was a spirit of excitement. Do you like those of you who are saying, "Hey, we should start Hudson Card"? Do you feel that way when he's in there? That is just a question. And some people may believe that. Some people may say, "Steve, that's bullshit." I don't know, but in my opinion, what do you see when he's in there from his teammates and how they respond to him? Is he leading the team? All right. The scrimmage to me, the first scrimmage is huge, huge. I want that's where I'm going to be. When the lights are on, we're competing, and it's something there. I'm gonna get to another little rant that I have here in a second. Um, so Terry, I will say this in regards to Hudson Card, where I will have his back is I personally thought his feet were better in the spring. from what I saw. There were a couple times where he fell into some of the old habits and didn't utilize just his, God-given athleticism like he should, and the clock kind of got the best of him, and he's constipated in thought, which is an interesting term. But I liked what I thought he was better. I honestly thought he was better. Let me bring on Brother Tran here real quick. He wants to jump in. Tran, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yo, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Let me turn up my. I can hear you, but let me turn up my
Okay, okay.
speaker. Yo,
What's going on?
how you doing? How you doing, man? We just talking ball right now. First practice in the books.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot just from watching the past 15 minutes. I have not focused. I have not focused any energy yet on Texas football yet. Sitting here, listening in, hearing all this good stuff looks great, man.
Everybody said, "Tran, let go, let go." Trantavius, the Tranimal, is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. I want to address this comment. Disagree. I think it's hard to rate a QB when the offensive line loses against a two-man rush. That's on everybody, though. That's not just. I understand what you're saying at times in the Arkansas game, but there's a level of decisiveness as well. There's times where, hey, screw your progressions. I have to understand that I'm in the game. I'm reading things real time. Let me get 8 yards. Let me take the underneath. Let me be decisive and do something. I've never seen a football team go three and out with the quickness the way Texas did against Arkansas. I hear what you're saying. The offensive line wasn't good. But that's not an excuse when he had an opportunity to really win people back in the Iowa State game. He didn't look prepared. I actually thought he looked prepared, at least more prepared, and showed more fight in the West Virginia game. That's the Hudson Card where I'm like, okay, this is a guy we can work with and develop. But I didn't like what I saw when he got an Iowa State game. Then by Kansas, we all know, head was just out of the game at that point. But all of those things are definitely factored into your quarterback play. Seth is in here causing havoc.
No, when I joined in, Seth actually had a really good question, and it wasn't busting balls question, which was kind of cool. He asked, I think he asked something like, "What's the floor and what's the ceiling for this season?" Which I thought was a pretty good question from him.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been kind of trimming through. So Tran, let me ask you this, man. Just as a fan right now, everything you've seen over the course of this off season, all the moves that have been made, we're here now. It's
Mhm.
camp. We got ball in a month. Where's your energy and excitement about this football team and about the coaching staff? Like how are you feeling just in general about things?
I mean, it hasn't changed from the summer. I said, I have optimism about the season, of course, but I'm not one of the people that are going, oh, we're winning the national championship at the same time. At the same time, I did put money on Bijan Robinson to win the Heisman, but that's that's
Shout
neither
out to
here nor there.
BUSR.
But no, I'm excited to see the offense. I'm excited. I know we already talked about the quarterbacks, and I'm with you. If there's just a hair difference of talent, or not even talent, or just experience, you're gonna go with the younger guy that you went out and got. It doesn't just help you. It doesn't just help you for this season. It helps you for selling to future 5-star quarterbacks as well. It's like, hey, we are going to play you. We're bringing here to develop you and to play you. So I anticipate that Quinn Ewers will be starting. I really do want to see how this offense runs because I do think we have weapons, more than just two weapons this year. So I don't think we're if they stop the run, I don't think that's going to be something that's going to be something that scares us, that we can't just, okay, we'll put out five wide and let's see you try to stop all of our guys. Defense, I want to see the defense. I want to see the defensive line because I do think the defensive line is going to be better. I do think that they're going to be tougher. I think they're going to plug holes better. I think Gary Patterson was a huge get for us for that attitude, because that's what you need, an attitude at the line of scrimmage. And I didn't like him as a head coach going against him for that reason, because he always had a game plan for us specifically, and every other team that he played against. So I mean, I think if we keep with the standards of what our offense was last year, I think we were the 18th ranked offense in the nation. I think if we're top 15 and then we bump up our defense to maybe top 70, top 80, we'll be in the conversation for the Big 12 championship, in my opinion.
Tran, you mentioned Gary Patterson. One of the things I started off up top, and some people said I was reading too deep or talking about it too much. Y'all tell me. The coach has put an emphasis on teaching and studying. And Steve Sarkisian, I'll say it again, he went and studied with Sean McVay for a week. He went to LA and hung out with Sean McVay. Pete Kwiatkowski went and hung out with Dan Quinn of the Dallas Cowboys and trying to learn what the hell they were doing, how they got Micah Parsons ramped the way they did, how they figured out the whole hybrid thing with Jaron Curse. They want to learn some of those tactics that flipped the Cowboys defense. So on both ends, they were learning and studying. Another element of that is Gary Patterson in terms of the counter element. And this is something else that I thought Rod Babers and Jeff Howe and Matt Butler, the guys over at Longhorn Blitz, hit on perfectly in their podcast when they were talking about Sark's, as much as we all love Sark, and as great as he is with scheme and getting chunk plays and all these things, he did struggle with his counters. That's just a fact. When people made adjustments with us last year, that's when we started seeing the three and outs and big stalls. Even with putting points up, big stalls and things that he just wasn't able to crack a code. He was able to sit back, and they've talked about this, of going back and forth with Gary Patterson, and Gary Patterson pointing to certain things and saying, that's where I got you, or that's where I would counter, or that's a whole, or maybe flip this or tweak this, or sometimes even rev tempo here because you had us on our heels, but we didn't realize, like, certain things just to help him develop as a coach. One of the things that I've grown to like about Steve Sarkisian is he's ever evolving, I feel like, as a coach. I wasn't the biggest Sark fan when he was the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons. I think he's evolved just from the standpoint of being at Alabama, having really great structure there. His recently really wanting to understand that there is something there with this whole Sean McVay really going up to Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, the LaFleurs, right? What are these guys doing to where they're running effective offense everywhere they go? Now Mike McDaniel over with the Miami Dolphins, who I call the run god because he's the best run game guy maybe in the world right now schematically. These are the people that he's going to try to learn from to figure out what the hell they're doing, right? And what can I add to my game? Bill Belichick consistently does. If you beat Belichick with something, chances are 3 or 4 weeks later, he going to be running that shit against somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we seen Belichick do that, Tran?
A lot. I could recall it back early 2000s when Miami beat him with the Wildcat. And then he busted out the Wildcat like a couple weeks later too. Remember that when Miami just like they had never seen anything like it before.
Yeah, Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, that's, I mean, I guess that's a testament to him. I mean, it shows that he's humble, that he's willing to go hat in hand to say, hey, I don't know something. Can you knowledge share with me on how I could do better and be better as a coach? Which it's like you do want a coach who has that confidence in himself, that knows he's going to get it done, but at the same time, you do want one of those coaches that is always wanting to evolve, because the game always evolves, and you don't want to let the game pass you
As you guys can see in here, who's was somebody I don't know who y'all arguing with in the comments right now, but it's I said off top, football's evolving, man. You've got to learn, and there's certain things and elements too with also understanding personalities. Um, Look, Aaron, Malik is in the room now, though. I know he missed some things, but him being healthy, O'Mary being healthy, big wins for Texas.
by.
Big,
That's
big.
something that I did read, is that there's no one on the injury list right now, right?
Well, Luke B is still out with the ACL because he
Yeah,
tore his pretty late last year.
yeah,
Um,
but they were saying, I read somewhere that all the people that they thought were going to be here were going to be,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
without any injuries. So that's good. I mean, I don't want. I mean, injuries are.
There's nothing wrong with redshirting. I agree, Rob. How about this too? Like if let's say Quinn Ewers is who we think and hope he should be. If he's not, then that's a whole nother issue. Especially under Steve Sarkisian and even AJ Milwee, whose profile is growing as a quarterback guy in the college football coaching regime. Malik Murphy should be my home run number 2 next year. Honestly, like if we restart this trend of redshirting our freshman quarterbacks, which we need to do, and Arch comes in, we're able to have Arch redshirt develop. Malik already being a part of all of this now and competing, he should already be ahead to where he is, especially with his tools, how hard he seems to be working. And I look, I'm not. Trust me, I'm not counting him out at all. But I'm just saying, like, I'm excited for the fact that you have that type of depth and talent in your room. And look, this is the other thing too. Didn't we have 2 quarterbacks get injured last year?
Mhm.
And we were in Kansas State running Rojo package damn near the whole game. Now we were spamming that, and it was unstoppable because Rojon is is that guy, right? And Train, you texted me this a few weeks back. You said it, and I agree with you. Roshan's a Sunday player.
Yeah, he is.
Bijan aside,
And not only that, I'll go a little bit further. Is that he's going to get drafted because he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on his body too. He's going to get drafted.
I was concerned. I wasn't there when you first said that. I think the work that he's put on his body, and if he shows the type of speed that he showed in the spring game, where he's able to run well and time well in his running, then he will interview and sell. And like you said, the body is there. It's about the running, because before I'm like, I don't know if he has that actual burst, if the burst is there enough for him to be. That's no slight against him or anything. But then I saw the spring game and I see him running away from people. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Where did this come from? Right? He looked just more explosive. So we just want to give him his flowers real quick. But long way away from that. Point is,
Look, we've been on the Bijan bandwagon for
right.
we've given him multiple flowers.
But the
So
point is, if we had a quarterback, that could do, we would have started that. If for example, if Charles Wright was showing things behind the scenes where the staff was like, well, we really like where Charles Wright is, That would have been a perfect game to play Charles Wright, don't you think? If they thought he was
K-State
ready.
game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? They had nothing to lose. That would have been the perfect game to play him if they thought he was ready to be in a college game. Obviously, he was not, right? And so for me with Malik, especially with this 4-game rule for freshmen, you can experiment and see what you got with certain things at times. Especially if we, we really start doing the all gas, no brakes again and start getting up on some people and getting people real reps to get in the game and see something. Why not? All right, let's get caught up here on the comments. I love him too, man. I think he's, look how long brother Fozzie played in the league. Fozzie played in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Brother Fozzie put in some years in the league, man. He was never really like outright, had a lot of injuries, quite frankly, from the prospect that he was. Like he was a dynamite prospect coming out of high school and lost a lot of some of that burst, but still was a kick returner in the NFL, still was a core special teamer and played a lot, at running back, especially with the Carolina Panthers and that Cam Newton team that went 15-1. Fozzie was out there a lot. So we're just bouncing around right now, guys. Bill Belichick would love Roshan Johnson.
100% you would.
He would. Hey, he picked up Schooley. Oh, so I want to address a couple things. Um, Tran, I want to give a special shout out to my friend Mr. Cosme, San Cosme's dad. He says hello. He's doing well. San Cosme over there for Washington. I was just looking at my phone, so I saw a little
Hey,
thing
what's up?
from Mr. Cosme. Who's always been a great friend of the channel and
Mm-hmm.
um, very, very, very kind man. Um, what was I looking at? Oh, so center. I got some tweets. So I appreciate you guys that sent some tweets for talking points. So we know Jake Majors is the one, right? But people were some scuttlebutt about, DJ Campbell's getting reps at center, Cole Hudson's getting reps at center, Connor Robertson, all these guys. I've been saying it all along, and you're seeing this with Hayden Connor. The more you can do on the offensive line, the quicker you have an opportunity to get on the field. That's just the way I'm looking at it. That's why Derek Kerstetter could always play. Because when somebody got injured, he could just bounce, to this one, bounce over to something else, and keep it moving.
So the way I look at it is Kyle Flood is the mastermind behind the whole offensive line. We're going to trust him wholeheartedly because of his history and what he's done. And one of the things he said is the 5 best are going to play. So he's going to find the 5 best at each individual position, and that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to play, and that's where you're going to see a lot of people thrown in different spots during practice. And then, probably 2 weeks away from kickoff, you're gonna know who the starting lineup is.
Thanks, Rob. You rock too. I know, and you know what I like about that? I know we've disagreed on certain things, right, in terms of talking ball. But at the end of the day, it's football, it's sports. We just here to hang out, talk about. We're all excited,
It's 31 days.
Back.
Why? How can't you be excited? We're one month away.
What's up, Dustin? How you doing, man? I see you over there, Dustin M, my man. And Dustin Smith, you're right. Hit that like button. We got a lot of Dustins in here. Shout out. Over 200 people in here. Make sure you hit that like button. Show us some love. Tran, we'll take it 20 more minutes and then we'll bounce.
10 more minutes? Did you say 10 more? So
20.
Wait, is
One
that a
1:30.
okay?
I
Okay.
started on time today.
I know
Believe
you
it or
did.
not.
I know you've been really sharp when I didn't see it. I was cleaning my pool, so I didn't see your text until later. That's why I missed the start time. But but you the 20 minutes mark. So is this going to be 40 minutes? I'm trying to figure out Steve's scale, sliding scale.
Y'all trying to take the BUSR under or over on if we're gonna go on time. I see you guys out there. Make sure you hit up busr.com/fanatic. We got some cool stuff coming. We got some cool stuff coming. Oh, we're getting spammed.
You don't want to click on
So,
Nude HD.
what'd you say?
You don't want to click on that Nude HD.
Nah, the whole freaking channel gets gets exploited. Oh, I like that comment about Kyle Shanahan would love Rojo. Every football, if you coach football, you love Roshan Johnson. Talks like a damn coach.
I've liked Rojo since the first time I heard that he missed an out in high school, like a passing out in the playoff game. He stayed after 2 hours throwing that
Yep.
same pass over and over again. I've liked him since that story, hearing that one.
Hey, I, I what is this? I'll put the chat back up. I think they're gone. So, I would love Bijan. Thank you for the super chat again. You've been very generous today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all already know I would love. When I get my Longhorns on, it's been tough though recently with Longhorns on the
I don't
Cowboys.
want the Cowboys to jinx him his career. I
It's
just
been tough,
like
man.
I want him to be successful.
It's been tough. Collins running third group. Yeah, today. I talked to Hudson a little bit and just some other people. We'll wait and see when the pads come on where people fall. And that's really what the coach said uh, during the thing anyway. But it is reading between lines. Maybe they're trying to send a message to certain guys too. Um, that definitely happens. People, hey, we want to see, we want to see how you respond or how you react to this. Are you going to be a good soldier? Or are you going to pout? Are you going to go in and bust your ass and, you know, prove to us that you belong in that first unit and you're ready to be the player that we all know you can be? Yeah. Right now, honestly, right now, you want to hear optimism from the coaches. Like you can tell when the coaches like what they're seeing versus when they're frustrated about certain things. You can tell with their language and demeanor, and even some of the things when they get pissed off really, and they start just throwing in walk-ons and all random people. If you don't want to be here, I'm gonna put people in who do. Stuff like that. We can all tell. But right now, like for example, like all the freshman offensive linemen that weren't here in the spring, they were all third team offensive line today, from that people saw. But we're excited with how they look, and we know that's not going to be the case when the season starts. So, not reading too much into that right now, but I do see where the concern lays with him being a third-year player versus some of those other folks being freshmen. Riley, what's up, man? My buddy Riley's in here. He said, "Who's going to be a bigger media story?"
Bijan, and if Quinn ramps up, Quinn will take it later on in the year.
I think it's going to be Quinn. I think this is a good question. I love Bijan, and we're a running football team. He was having a hell of a season last year, but then we started. We couldn't. After a 4-1 start, we fall off, and even though he's still getting numbers, you saw that fade, that collapse with, we were talking about the Doak, we were talking about all these things. Quinn, to me, because of NIL, because of how he left high school, because of his recruiting ranking, because he left Ohio State, and because of Arch Manning being in play, and all the eyeballs on what this thing's going to look like. And even those of us who were saying, hey, if, as good as Casey Thompson was for big chunks of last season, we still felt like we needed an upgrade with arm talent and this and that. If he's not that guy, it's a story. Now, on the flip side, if he is that guy and he's him, then he's a celebrity. And everybody's wearing mullets and DKR.
Yeah,
he's him.
That's legitimately why I said I think at the beginning of the year it will be Bijan, because Bijan will be the spokesperson. I don't think we're going to put Quinn in front of a microphone just yet. But midway through the season, if Quinn is that guy, he's going to be the big lightning rod.
What is Marlon talking about? Somebody hacked Marlon's YouTube. I know he doesn't believe that. It's not even a Hudson Card hate. I just know Marlon is being. How many of you guys saw the tweet I put up last week about the top 10 Texas single game touchdown performances? And 2021, Casey Thompson was 3 of them, of the top 10 in Texas school history. But I'm working on a video right now, and some people aren't going to like it, but I don't care because it's my channel. If you don't like it, then you can hit the thumbs down. But I'm working on a video right now just in terms of what the quarterback position has meant to Texas and where it's really held the school back for a large history of the program. Like, I was fortunate, Tran and I were fortunate to be born and to walk into college football seeing really that James Brown through Colt McCoy stretch of really good quarterback play, right? Those are the people, if you notice all those quarterbacks, James Brown, Chris Sims, Major Applewhite, Vince Young, Colt McCoy.
Yeah.
All of them are high in wins. All of them are high in touchdowns and efficiency, or their overall winning percentage. What about the rest of the history of the school? Now, I understand, early 70s and before that, you're talking about, either stuff like people running the veer, right? Like, so I get, you're throwing 3 you're throwing 3 passes a game, that type of stuff. Like, that's what I'm talking about. But I had an older fan saying, hey, from 1975 to like 1994 when we got James Brown, right? Like, who was popping at Texas at quarterback? Now we know, Pete Gardere went 4-0 against OU, and we talk about that. But was he a great quarterback? Like, and we know also the amount of NFL players that Texas was sending to the league on offense and defense. But they didn't have the trigger man in all of these cases. And we've seen what the last 12 years has looked like since Colt McCoy got hit by Marcel Darius, right? What that's looked like. So if we can get back to what we were quarterback-wise of a solid floor, right? Then we can at least look at it from a standpoint of, okay,
did you say a solid 4?
A solid floor. A solid floor.
Okay.
Right? So we could say, Sam Ehlinger came in and was basically him and Tom Herman were the whole regime. And he was good. It was tough for him. but Sam put up numbers. You can't argue
Yeah.
Sam's numbers. But at least it was a good floor of quarterback play comparable to what had come before Sam Ellinger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's performance with a lot of guys, disappointment with a lot of guys, or people that got injured, like your guy David Ash, who you hoop with sometimes, like your boy David Ash, who was on his way to becoming a good player, but concussions and things of that sort. So, can we get to a standard level of quarterback play in this program where we feel as though it matches the production we're getting at all the other positions? Is it's done a very long-winded way, but I am working on that. It's funny. Alex says this. I feel like Sam Ellinger is going to be one of those people as the more time goes on and we look back at even though his win-loss record isn't great in terms of all things considered, people are going to blame Herman. They're not going to blame Sam. And then you factor in Sam played, how many games did he play where he was just freaking injured? Which, people talking about the accuracy problems. He was flawed. He was a flawed quarterback. But he was a very good college quarterback who probably should have been in another timeline in the multiverse, would have been a great quarterback.
I think as time goes along, I mean, people are going to like him a lot more because he was the one, like, you either loved him or you hated him type of thing. There was very in between. He's like, yeah, he's all right, but it was, hey, I want him as my quarterback, or no, I want put Casey in. So I think as time goes by, people are going to see what he actually did with some of the teams that he was put on. Like, I'll never forget the Oklahoma game that he almost willed us to win, beaten and battered. But he's he's in the NFL for a reason, so he is talented. People NFL doesn't care who you are; all they care about is talent.
It's funny. I see another comment there. Sam and Casey at least brought us back up. That's one thing where, again, the more time goes on, if we get this thing rolling and there's another uptick, people can say, I think it would be fair to say, hey, Texas started to turn it around when they started getting better. Even though even Casey, though his win-loss record isn't great, at least the standard at the position is improving. Right? Where we're able to have a quarterback where he can threaten a defense and have 350 yards and 4 touchdowns and have you on your heels where you're worried about the person. Thank you, Robert. Let's hit that like. Yeah, so Shane Buechele. So that's an interesting one, right? Because and credit to Shane. Also credit to guys like the other guy that went to SMU, Garrett Gilbert. They still made their way to the league. Shane's obviously second year in for Kansas City and the staff. The timing, right? And this is something that happened with this era of quarterbacks as well. It's also not every situation is equal and fair and all of that. I talked about, it was now the third time I bring this up, about evolution in football, innovation, and trying to be ahead of the curve with certain things. Texas, it's a balance you have to play. We've been asking for continuity and to build certain things. But when I'm talking about evolution and learning, I'm talking about adding to what you have as a baseline. I'm not talking about flipping stuff the way we used to. If you go through some of the offenses we ran in the 2010s, we tried a lot of shit, Tran. We were in pro style. We went to some of the stuff that Brian Harsin does, which is very similar to what Kellen Moore runs with the Dallas Cowboys today when he had David Ash and those guys. And then we went to
Fear and shoot,
Darren
variation
Shute
with what's his name?
with Buechele and
Yeah.
Sterling Gilbert,
Sterling,
right?
Pat Sterling, yeah.
Which is OU's running Darren Shute, Jeff Lebby now. Those are all former Art Briles Baylor guys. So OU's going to Darren Shute. We did it haphazard, desperately. Sterling Gilbert never ever called plays, was a disciple, and we're like, hey, you got 1 year to do this, save all of our jobs because people are already on the hot seat. That's not what I'm talking about in terms of evolution and being ahead of the curve, right? Where, shoot, before we brought in Tom Herman's last year, Mike Yursich, right? Coming from more of the Mike Gundy background. Shoot, we were trying to go full-blown air raid in pursuing Graham Harrell. Previous coach was trying to pursue Sonny Cumbie, another air raid guy. We were literally trying everything schematically. So when I'm talking about evolution, I'm not talking about we're desperate for the next thing, and that's when you're behind and you're trying to find lightning in a bottle to save your ass. And that's where players can get caught up in stuff. Because I feel like Shane Buechele got caught up in that type of stuff. Other guys got caught up in that type of stuff. And then we go to power spread, which is, definitely more quarterback friendly to Sam Ehlinger. And that's where things go. So hopefully now we have a baseline under Sark and this thing stables, and we just continue to evolve, right, to our base. I want to make sure I didn't miss the super chat. Thanks again for the generosity. 5 minutes left, Tran. Hard stop at $1:30.
That'd be 3 minutes then.
Dylan said a lot of offensive talk. What about the defense? Tran, you want to touch on the defense? I don't. I talked a lot about up top, but I mean, where do we even begin?
The good thing with the defense is there's a lot of room for improvement. There is. We were trash.
I love your approach.
We were trash. But players would have said it too. There's former players would have said the same thing. It's not something. It wasn't something to be proud of for alumni from UT that the product that was put out on the field. Things that I've really liked, the strength and conditioning videos that I've been seeing. I've been liking the big guys lifting big weights, the little guys doing change of direction, power to speed. That hype video actually got me hyped.
Troy Becton hat, yo.
Yes. Yeah, he actually did a good job. Whoever produced it, I thought it was fantastic. I just want to see us play with an attitude, and I think Byron Murphy is that guy for us to give us that attitude. So those are ugly numbers. Why you gotta throw that up and make it? All right, look at all this. I don't even think I've ever seen.
My hand slipped. I am so sorry, Tran. I didn't mean to do that to you. I apologize.
No, you're good. But
forgive me.
But we got some key pieces. We got people in the secondary change things up. We got our full linebacker crew back. Our defensive line for the most part is back with another year of bad taste in their mouths. Because if you think about it, just 2 years ago, this was a great defensive line. Not just a good, but a great defensive line. And everyone could say, what's his name? He's on the Bengals. What's his name?
Osai?
Osai, yeah. Osai missed 3-4 games, right, in that year? And we still were holding teams to less than 2 yards rushing carry. So, this team can play We know they can play. We just got to see it on the field. So I'm gonna curb anything until I see that. Yeah, please do not ever post that shit again. That was disgusting. Like, it's really bad that you had to use the whole page to show how terrible the defense was. Like, it wasn't just one portion of the defense. It was, what was it, 12 lines?
I mean, facts are facts, right? And those are raw stats. That's not even the advanced numbers. And again, shout out to John over at Locked On Longhorns. He's getting into some of the time of possession stuff and more of a deep dive than just raw, yards per attempt in the run game, things of that sort. So, Tran, I lost the bet because we're over 130. But you guys are asking great questions. I can't leave you hanging. I was doing well. But now I really want to talk about this. Now I'm fired up again. I got an extra win.
Chart compared quarters 1 to 3 with quarter 4.
Bro, all I know about the fourth quarter, bro, is I never, ever, ever want to see somebody run a draw on 3rd and 9 and get a first down.
Yep.
To ice us or to move the chains. I don't want to see direct snap counter game on the line and we got hands on hips and we knew when we're there in person and we're seeing the ball snap and we're like, we're not even lined up. We don't even have the fight, right? Like there's a baseline. There's a baseline we have to have on defense, starting with the run. The pass rush stuff, if you don't have people, like I can't ask people to be Will Anderson. You're either that guy or you're not. But what I can ask you to be is on time with your run fits, right? And play assignment football. And me as a coach, that's on PK to get exotic and dial stuff up enough if he's able to make a team one-dimensional to either confuse quarterbacks and to generate and manufacture pressure himself as the coach to where my scheme is foolproof. One of y'all is going to get home because we got them stuck. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's coaches in the NFL that don't have all these all-world pass rushers, but they're still able to generate pressure themselves. Now I might be limited as a coach versus if I have a Chase Young from a few years ago where I can play, 7, 8 people in coverage because I know Chase going to get there in 3 seconds. Doesn't that change your whole outline as a coach, Tran, in terms of how you're running
it changes your whole game plan from your defensive line because you could actually blitz 3 people. You could just rush 3 people, and someone with like Chase's talent will actually get to the quarterback. What's up, homie?
Marlon's killing me. He said the parachutes didn't help Steve. Marlon's killing me. The parachutes didn't help.
I did notice actually in the hype video though they did switch from the parachutes to dragon chains. Like so maybe.
I haven't seen one. Have y'all seen any parachutes in any of the off-season video? They cut that shit out, bro. Marlon, I haven't seen any parachutes.
It's a good call out. Like, actually, I know it's hilarious.
I'm tired of the Instagram training videos. We need some real football training. Marlon said we got to get rid of the parachutes, bro. Those are Instagram training videos. Oh, man. Speaking of Bama, we are going to have a couple different people from Bama on the channel to do some preseason stuff. A lot of people are about to come on the channel, by the way. I'm letting y'all know right now, Seth and Chris will be back before the season starts. I don't think we set a date yet, but they will be back. We will have an argument. There will be slander exchanged. Just set your expectations.
They crack me up. They crack me up. They're funny guys. It's like,
Kieran's working on his clapback
oh,
video.
I heard about that.
Kieran's in the lab as we speak. The brother has some heat coming. So yeah, a lot of stuff we're working on. Yeah, the team no parachute. Y'all know those they really had to clean up the training videos. People were like, enough is enough, because the production on those training videos, it was like a Rocky montage, bro. It was like Rocky 3 on the beach, bro, with Apollo. And then we got it's like if we had the whole last season is like if we had the whole Rocky and Apollo training montage, and then we still went and got our ass whooped by Clubber Lang and me. And Clubber Lang got us up out of there in 2 rounds. That's what those training videos felt like.
Oh, you running on the beach? That's cool. We're actually playing football over here.
Yo, they really have cleaned up the train. The training videos now have been much, much better. Much, much better. So, yeah, they were getting crazy with it last year. Marlon called it out when it happened, which is hilarious. And he was just like, "Bro, like, are they in shape, or are those beach muscles?" Whoo, man, we about to bounce back. Everybody's going in, yo. Enough. Let's get back to the basics. Let's get back to the basics, man. Enough. Enough is a damn enough. Oh, Richard, we do have some collabs coming. I do have a date for Texas Football Talk. I don't know if we're doing a live or if we're recording, so I'm not going to say the date yet. But we do. I already have something on the books with Texas Football Talk. Homer and I, we talk every day, so we'll definitely have something coming. I know I'll definitely, at least with Homer, since he's you guys know how meticulous his process is. The you know the Martin Scorsese of Texas football videos. Um, I'll probably have him to help us with some live reactions during this. What the hell was that? Have some live reactions during the season, just to kind of share his take on stuff. So we'll be at UL Monroe. We'll be at the Bama game. So definitely be there in person for meet and greets as well. Doing too much.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, we've come a long way from them training videos. They honestly, the staff, it was year one. They were used. They had like this disposal of resources with these, for recruiting too. They're trying to get the recruits excited. I got, but it was like it was over the top. It was completely over the top. And then they came out and Clubber Lang just got us right up out of there. Exposed. Exposed. Kieran, what's up, man? Kieran said, "What's up, man?" He's about to come back and clap
I
back
want
on
to see that
Chris.
video.
Yeah, we should get some merch. It's about damn time. Frank Demo we'll see how he's used. That was. I'm sorry with the mic, guys. I don't know. It was great earlier. I don't know what's going on.
Your mic's just fine. I hear.
Nah,
Oh,
it's a pop. I got some new equipment on the way. That's another reason for the delay. So fret ye not. Ooh, good point here. So I think Saturday they're doing the night practice. Today they practice in the middle of the afternoon, right? Like before, it felt like last season every practice was like first thing in the morning, and today they had different groups lift, go through a normal day, then jump into practice in the afternoon. I do believe Saturday night they'll practice, different climate, different temperature, a little bit more humid under the light. So I do like that mixing it up, like Addison said, until school starts. That is something I notice. Yeah, we're gonna cut the AC off. Ask LSU. We don't play. Whatever it takes. We don't cut that AC off.
Change out the lights to heat lamps in the
How many of you guys how many of you guys watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? There was an episode where Charlie cut the brakes. Some of y'all gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. They said they couldn't stop that van, and Charlie said,
I'm the wild card.
Wild card, bitches. That was me. When cut that AC off in 2019. Coach O said they were trying to smoke us up out of there in the locker room. That's why the boys were cramping up. Boys were cramping up out there. They were trying to smoke us out. We had to bring in extra cooling fans and bring in extra shit just to keep the boys cool. Hydration. Hydration is key when they cut the AC off in the locker room. That's why our boys were cramping up. So we gave up 500 yards. It's not normal. So, there's two more things I want to talk about before we wrap up. Yeah, Karen, we did touch a lot about PK. I don't know if we dove too much into the comments. I mean, we've been talking about the lack of pass rush and some of the things that he brought up in the presser where people were concerned and whatnot. But I actually want to get you on here when you hey man, go Tigers. I'm working on my Coach O. Forgive me. I know there's people out there that do it way better. I'm working on it. But I want to get Kieran on here because you're the one that did the film deep dive on his Pac-12 defenses when he was ranked number 1, but he was still getting packed up by Stanford and Oregon in the run game. And I know you believe it's more of a schematic thing, but you can speak to that point. So next live we have you on. I think that'd be a good deep dive for Karen to do. I want to bring this up, Tran, and I want to get your take on it. Seti had asked me this the other day. I know the very controversial Seti B on Twitter, but he asked me a good question. He asked me, why can't we have more access to practices? Was the question. And this is something, and I know some of the college football purists are always going to have a retort to certain things because they don't want anything to change. If it was up to them, we'd still be using the AP polls to determine national champions and shit like that. But I have wrestled with access to college practices before a season starts forever. And I'm not saying it needs to be all access the way the NFL is, but it's really cool because I'm an NFL fan. I'm an NFL fanatic, right? And so it's really cool that I can go and see everything that's going on in Cowboys training camp right now. Good, bad, and ugly. I can see it. We have fans there. Now they have private periods and things of that sort, but all across the NFL, we have access, right? Nobody's hiding anything. High school football, do we not all go to scrimmages? Do we not get to see these scrimmages? I remember a few years ago, Arlington Martin did a scrimmage against Denton Guyer before the season even started. And I think they put it on TV. Like, we get all this access at the high school level, and we get a lot of access at the NFL level. They go 0 dark 30 in college. No scrimmages. I understand you guys don't want to do stuff with other schools. Okay. But we should have certain open periods. not every practice, but throughout the fall and even throughout the spring, where we have access to see open periods as fans. What you guys are not these full, like, I'm sorry, but you guys are not these. What you're doing isn't so cryptic to where we can't, we gotta have it under lock and key. That's what your private period stuff is for. But when you play in a preseason game, you're running base stuff anyway. How do you feel about that with college? Because it's the only level of football where they just lock everything away until the season starts. And that's why we're here guessing on so much stuff.
So I don't like it just from a standpoint of, fans should be allowed to. It gets them way more excited for the season. Like you said, you don't need to see every single practice, but like once every other week they have a practice open to the fans. But I think from the coaching side, I think they just don't like having people there because they have to change the way they coach. A lot of times, like if you see a coach in real life, they're assholes to their players. They are and
especially in a practice setting.
Yeah, right. In a practice setting, but you can't be that way when there's like 6-year-old kids standing 15 feet away from you. So it's not as effective from a coaching side to have fans there like just free access to the team. But if they had it like it once every other week, that date, that hey, this is the BS practice that we're just doing walkthroughs where I'm not going to rip these kids apart. So I mean, I'm with you. I wish that they did have scrimmages, like even if they did the spring practice, like the spring games. I would love them to have scrimmages as opposed to playing against other teams. I mean, as opposed to playing playing themselves.
It's the only level of football where they like NFL. They do joint practices with whoever's close to you regionally. Somebody said, yeah, Corey said we can see Cowboys practice from our couch. But you know what else I can see? I can see Eagles practice from my couch. I can see what I'm talking about right now is not exclusive to Texas. I'm talking about the state of college football.
Oh yeah, it's
right
across the board.
Like Lincoln Riley, look at that shit he did last year when the student reporter wanted to record something and they put up the tarp. they like he went full blown 0 dark 30 on the media, right? Like no access, no anything, blah, blah, blah. And my other thing is this, right? Like we have all these guys we're excited to see. And then sometimes they come out and we're puzzled as to why somebody's starting. We're puzzled as to how this person ended up in the lineup because we didn't see how the coaches got there, right? We didn't see anything. At least sometimes, like with the Cowboys, for example, I can see TJ Vasher cooking one of my corners. So I can understand, okay, when the depth chart comes out, it makes sense as to why this guy is here and how TJ Vasher is performing. Like you're seeing people, I saw a Falcons highlight, God bless some random brother from Bethune-Cookman out there getting mossed into oblivion by Kyle Pitts. God bless him. But that was on Twitter. Like, it's just like, yo, this is football. It happens. One guy made an amazing play. The other guy got mossed. And shout out to my HBCUs. I'm not trying to throw any slander at Bethune-Cookman. But I'm just saying, like, I saw the guy out there getting just baked. That's football, though. That happens at the high school level. And Trey, you're talking about talking to the kids and coaches being assholes. Were coaches not assholes in high school? Are we forgetting what high school practices? How reckless stuff gets at high school practices? I've been at high school scrimmages against other high schools where they just started wrecking. So let's not act like football is all of a sudden totally different in college than it is at the level beneath it and the level beyond it. That's my whole. Yeah, we want to be nosy, Tracy. I want to know what's going on.
We do.
We're the one funding the operation. We're the one watching this stuff. This is still entertainment. Like, we should have access. I'm not saying it needs to be complete open access like the NFL. It's a totally different thing. But there needs to be more open periods so that people can see Quinn throw. Even if it's just run your base stuff. Let's see them go through 2-minute drill. That's how they look. Who cares if they record it?
I don't want them going through. I don't want them recording the 2-minute drill.
I'm saying though, if I see everyone going through their 2-minute drill, I'm not saying then it's like, I'm not saying we should be the only team with open access and everybody else is still under lock and key. But I do know that what Ohio State did, I think it was in the spring. Somebody can correct me in the comments. But when Ohio State let their fans into the bubble and I think they even sold tickets for it. I don't even think it was free. But they let people come into the bubble and they had half the practice open to the public until they went to private to work on certain things. But they did all their drills. They did pass skeleton. They did some goal line work. People got to see a lot of stuff in that bubble. Anyway, that was the last thing I wanted to rant about. So, yeah, we should be able to see something. I don't like that call because the thing is, week one, there's two things. There's another thing layer to this. I know I just said I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna keep going because Aaron just said this, right? Isaac, thank you. We should get to see some basic stuff. But here's the other thing. Aaron brought this up because I know people talk about the excitement of opening weekend for college football is unlike any other because we're anticipating stuff we haven't seen and totally get that. Totally get that. However, sorry, I had to get rid of the chat box thing. However, with all of what's going on, when college football starts, week one typically is messy. I've seen some bad football in week one.
Mm-hmm.
I see people still trying to figure out who their starting quarterbacks are, which is funny because I saw a tweet about the now infamous USC Alabama game from I think it was 2016 or 2017, one of those 2 years. The USC Alabama game where USC crawled out the tunnel like a pack of dogs.
Yeah.
And then they got beat by 50 expeditiously. And it's funny because I think it was a Bama fan, and it was the most arrogant thing I've ever heard and talking shit, but it was 100% true. He was like, you realize we beat USC by 50 and we were holding our own quarterback competition in the middle of the game between like they were rotating like Jalen Hurts and the other boy that went to USF. What was his name? Blake Barnett. And they were rotating Blake. He was like, bro, we were literally having a quarterback competition in the middle of our week one game. And you know why that is? Because they didn't know until the lights came on. Neither of them had thrown in front of people. None of them had thrown in front of people. And so they had to kind of let it work itself out. And you see that a lot in college football, where week one, people are like, you know what? Practice has been interesting, but I have no idea how these two people that have never played in front of 100,000 people are going to perform. At least in a scrimmage or a practice, there's eyeballs. There's a sense. I want people on my football team that have a sense to perform. We are playing Tran, the level you coach at with your son. You're coaching, but are the kids not performing in front of an audience? There's an audience there, right? But during the week, it's you, BA, Gabe, and the kids, and your brother. But on Saturday morning, there's an audience. And some kids rise to that audience. It's still a performance. It's like we're working on our play all week. and we do rehearsal, and then the play starts,
Mhm.
right? And so college football, like that's one thing where I think we would actually improve the overall quality if we had some of those things to where week 0 and week 1 people aren't freaking out when they get out there, and then we got to wait, a couple weeks before we see really really good football. We've had
I mean,
dramatic
I mean,
week 0 week 1 games,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
bad football
To
sometimes.
your credit, how many upsets have we seen like the very first week? Because they just weren't prepared. The teams just weren't ready to play. Right? I mean, if they had that who it doesn't count for anything game, they get all those bugs out right then and there. I'm with you on it. I think that every team should have a scrimmage or a preseason game, quote unquote preseason game. And
I have one question for so Texas Homer is in here. I have one. He's gonna laugh when I ask him this. Where's the PK? Where's the defensive video, man? Offensive video was fire, brother. But I know that one was easy to make because you excited about the offense. Where is the defensive video, Texas Homer? I need it. We need it. Where's the defensive video? Because that's what people are concerned about.
It's gonna be someone
Thank you and
sitting on
God
a
bless.
toilet.
I'll hang up and listen. I need that defensive video. Yes. Oh man, this is great. I'll never forget this game. The Florida Miami game. It was maybe 10 years ago. And it was so freaking sloppy. Horrible football game. But that's a game if you played it a month later,
way more competitive.
All right. Y'all stop. He said it comes out in 2023. Oh, he got that offensive video done before camp started. And then now we got the defensive one. Okay, he said it's coming. I'll be patient.
Congrats on the new house, brother.
Congrats on the new house. Congrats. All right, we are going to wrap up at 2 hours because I'm tired and I need to go get something to eat.
I called that.
See, I hear what you're saying about the spring game in terms of access, and it is a great event, and we had a blast. We all got to, so many of us got to meet up there. It's great for, it's a great spring event. But
it's different.
You don't even have your whole football team there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, think about how many people are practicing now, right? The Kelvin Bankses and the Brennan Thompsons of the world that weren't even there in the spring. So those guys are still in high school. So I didn't even have my full team. I'm saying there should be nothing wrong. Like one open period for the whole fall camp for like, how long is open period? Like 30 minutes? That's not enough access, in my opinion. Not even close. And again, this is across all of college football. I'm not pointing directly at Texas. Texas is doing what everybody else is doing. But these coaches, it's a power trip, Tran. And you guys know that. It's a power trip. That's why the NFL has rules about the injury report. If they didn't have a rule, and it's really because of gambling, let's be real. It's all about gambling. But if it wasn't for gambling, and and shout out to BUSR, we were sponsored by, so it's important. I'm not bashing that. But what I am saying is if it wasn't for that, coaches could just lie. For example, Tom Herman and Keontae Ingram. Questionable for 7 straight weeks about his hamstring. This is a power trip. But in the NFL, you got to tell the truth, right? You gotta tell us if the player practiced.
I'm, I mean, I think every game that Tom Brady played for Belichick, he was always on the injury report.
Technically,
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you necessarily have to tell the truth, but you're 100% right. It all comes down to gambling.
which we just did today, by the way. Tran placed his bet on Bijan Robinson to win the Heisman Trophy 2022. Did you get your conference championship bets in?
No, I want to do I want to do a parlay. I'll sync with you and
Okay.
maybe do a fanatic like a conference champion
Okay.
parlay.
Okay. So, guys, hit up bosr.com/fanatic. We appreciate hanging out with y'all tonight. Tran, thanks for jumping in with me. Um,
Hey, appreciate you
I know
having me.
this was a longer live, but it's been a minute. We needed to sit down and talk. It's great to catch up with everybody. It's officially, we're right here. Football's in the air. Those of you who have kids playing football at any level, prayers for health and safety
Uh huh.
this season and for them to have a lot of fun and a great experience. Can't wait to check out some high school football. Especially if you're in the state of Texas, in any of your area, um, we should be checking out some high school football games. Homer, since you're up here in the area, I'm gonna hit you up. Tracy, you work Friday nights now, but some of the people up here in the DFW area, we should be, nights that we're all in town, we should hit up some high school football games, right? Some big games where we can go and just
Some good teams up there,
some
man.
really good teams, some really good prospects, guys that are Texas commits playing here in the area. So go support your local high school football team. I'm really big on that, and those kids appreciate the support. And then support the channel. Hit that like button, show us some love, help us grow, subscribe. But we outside, man. Tran, appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
You know what it is. Horns always up.